Hello? Hello? I don't see anything happening. Oh, something's lit up. There's always the fun, dull part here at the beginning where we're trying to figure out whether we're on or not.
Right? I think we're on.
Oh, we were on earlier.
And so, okay, let's just go ahead and start.
Go ahead, do it.
Okay, hey, hi. Welcome to the Ask Mike Anything. It was supposed to be the starring Scott Jernigan show, but I have a special guest. I am Scott Jernigan, editor-in-chief for Total Seminars, and contributor and co-author and editor with Mike Meyers over many books and stuff. And with me today is a special guest, Mike Meyers, home a day early from his vacation, which is awesome. So Mike Meyers, Alpha Geek, president of Total Seminars. Here he is. So you can ask.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks for letting me sneak on here a little bit, brother.
That's awesome. We'll be joined briefly at the beginning. You saw our moderator, senior instructor Dave Rush, who will be popping on for the contest stuff a little later in the show. Speaking of contests, we will be giving away some cool stuff today, including a CompTIA voucher.
It's a new car.
Hey! So here we are. It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. So as you guys all well know, the goal of this live stream is to provide those of us who are isolated by the coronavirus an opportunity to continue our studies on CompTIA certifications. So while we concentrate on CompTIA certifications, because that's kind of like the Total Seminars bailiwick, we can certainly move outside of that as well. And so feel free to ask questions. So here's how this works. We start here at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time, and we will run until 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time in Houston, Texas. Now, if we run out of questions before the hour's over, no big deal. We end a little early. If we have a lot of questions, we can go past 3 o'clock, but generally we try to hit it right around 3. So to ask questions, what you need to do is you have to type them right here into your chat window here on YouTube. So one of the things you might want to do is in your chat window over there on your browser window, go where it says Top Chat, hit that pull down and switch it over to Live Chat. That gives us a little bit more realistic order that things are brought into us. Also, you might want to consider where it says Live Chat now. To the right, you'll see your 3 little dots. Number 1, you might want to consider popping that out, so you have a handy, convenient pop out. And then on top of that, you can also consider toggling timestamps. You want to be able to see the times, because when I see questions, or if Scott says referencing a question, we're going to go, oh, at 2:25, Bob said blah, blah, blah. So it's very handy to keep those timestamps up as well. But really the bottom line is it's up to you guys to be able to ask us questions. Yeah, I just turned my volume way up. Did that help?
That's a little better, yeah.
I just saw people saying Mike is quiet. So
yeah, that helps.
So Eric, tell me, can you hear me now? Steady as shark. Okay, Eric says I'm better. Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
I literally pulled the keyboard and drug the keyboard cable along the side of the volume control for my microphone. So as I pulled, I turned the microphone down. Do not try this at home, kids.
Wow.
Yeah, what are the odds? All right, so one other thing before we get started here, do keep in mind that I know a lot of people are a little bit shy, don't like to ask questions. That's no big deal. If you prefer, you can just contact me directly. My email address is michaelm@totalsem.com. If you're a gamer, I'm Senor Pepe on Steam, and on just about everything else, I'm Desweds, DESWEDS. Desweds. You can hold your mouse and type Desweds like this, Desweds. So that's where Desweds came from, and I've been using it since the mid-1980s, and now it's kind of stuck.
That was when he was 12, just saying.
I wish. I wonder why Al Mulford is in California.
I don't know.
Do you know who Al Mulford is, Scott?
I do.
Yeah, all right.
He is
Al
married
Mulford
here.
is married to my big sister, Robin.
That's right. And they run a very nice complex in Rockport.
Texas. So we're not sure. I'm not sure why Al is in California. No doubt causing trouble. All right. So Steadiest Shark is a new name. Welcome aboard. Alan is here. Tolowitz here. Matthew Patrick. Is that a new name, Scott? Do you remember?
Matthew, I believe, showed up while you were gone.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Hey, Matt. Matthew.
ALU Card and AVI Nut, Scott Wolf.
So
right, anyway, so it looks like you have a pretty good crowd.
Absolutely. Vashtar Bias at 2:00 shows up. Hello. Oh, Alucard is welcoming you back from space. Why don't you tell us about when you hitchhiked onto the Blue Origin last Wednesday, and you snuck up there with William Shatner?
Well,
it has to be true.
No, if it's a good idea to talk about that. Spun. Hey man, you got to give it to William Shatner, 90 years old.
I think it's awesome.
Somebody told me I had to go up in space today. I'd be like, oh boy, I need a posturepedic cushion and that kind of a thing. So
awesome.
All right, so let's see if we got some questions here. Matt at 2:02 p.m. How come in firewalls configuration, when connecting multiple IP to a server, you would use something like WAC24? How come in firewalls configuration, when connecting multiple IP to a server? Scott, do you know what he's asking here?
Is it 2:02?
2:02, Matt, just Matt, M-A-T-T is the person's name. How come in firewalls configuration, when connecting multiple IP to a server, would you use something like WAC24? Well, my quick speculation is that you're probably behind some form of natting. And the moment you bring the word NAT in, you immediately fall back to the 192, 168 WAC24s or the 172, 16 through 31 WAC 16s that you stretch out to a 24 because it's convenient, because you get to work at the dot instead of trying to figure out subnetting. And because you're using NAT anyway, who cares, right? So that would be my speculation. Matt, that's one of those questions that I wish you could develop more. I would like to hear more what you're trying to ask about.
So at 2:05, 2:06, 2:05, AV Nut. I've decided to switch gears and go for 1002 first before 1001, I assume. I'm more familiar with the Core 2 content. Okay. Doing it in whatever order you want to do it makes sense to me.
6 years ago, I might have disagreed with that, but today I think it's fine.
Yeah. So at 2:06, Scott Wolf has a question for you. I have a question that's kind of confusing me. How would you determine when to use SFC versus check disk?
Well, I mean, they're different animals, right? So a check disk is going to be used to verify the quality of the sectors on a hard drive and, and can then fix them. Whereas a system file checker checks the actual a subset of the core files in a Windows system and compares their signature against a pile of backups of these critical files and will automatically update, repair, and or download whatever it needs to do. So they're very different things. If I was worried that I was having problems, what would make me want to call System File Checker up? Most of the time, I'm going to use System File Checker because Windows is hollering at me to do it. In fact, Windows can fire up its own version of System File Checker in the background. You don't even see it happening during automated repair processes. Check disk, not so much. Check disk, like every time I try to load a certain program and I get a blue screen of death. If I were, there's a lot of interesting reasons. And what I'm thinking about is situations where I'm reading the hard drive and I have trouble, that's where I'm going to go with system file checker.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's where I'm going to go with check disk. And system file checker is probably going to be done by Windows automatically. However, there would be an occasional time where I could get a error saying cannot find a particular file. Then I might pull up system file checker.
Okay, sounds good. Hope that answered your question. Scott, 206 Alucard has a question. It's a very A+y. What is a USB enclosure and how does it help in retrieving data from a dead laptop? I saw it in the total tester questions and it was my first time hearing about it.
Why, Scott, go ahead, man.
Okay, so an enclosure is essentially a place where you plug an internal drive, hard drive, SSD. You plug it in as if you were plugging it into the motherboard. And then you take, the enclosure has external power and you plug it into a USB port and it registers as a hard drive in your system. So if to recover information off of a dead laptop, you pull the hard drive or SSD out of the laptop, put it in the enclosure, connect the enclosure to a working PC, and then you have, in theory, you have access to all of those files that are on that hard drive, and you can recover stuff that was on your dead laptop. They're inexpensive. They're great tools to have. Certainly something good for any technician to have in their toolbox. So there you go.
He just meant a external hard drive, a USB external hard drive?
A USB external enclosure for a hard drive.
You would just put a hard drive inside this USB enclosure.
Correct.
A few years ago, I could have made this an eSATA enclosure, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't like the phrasing of that. That might be an issue with one of our questions, to say a USB enclosure. I'd be like to say an external drive with a USB. It's semantics, Scott. That's all.
Sure. So Zach Morrow just finished moving and has shown up, which is awesome. Good to see you, Zach. It's been a while.
Mr. Vape.
That's right, Mr. Vape. Patricia Grace popped in a few minutes ago. Always good to see you. JM Ramiro at 210 has a question. So my laptop was showing me a black screen message every time I would turn it on that my fan was broken. After a month now, it shows no message and I haven't done anything to fix it. What happened?
The piece of dirt that was temporarily freezing up your fan after dropping your laptop like you do every day because you keep it in your backpack and you drop it underneath your seat, dislodged it, and now it's back to normalcy. I'd still blow some air through there.
Right.
What do you think, Scott?
I agree. That seems to be the way. And 212, Scott Wolf answered JM, maybe Event Viewer could help. So yeah, sure. Look at your log messages. Always worth a check. At 212, JM has another question. What do they mean by system owners in an organization in the Mike Meyers Security Plus book?
So, the big problem we have with security is that people have different roles that they're doing with different stuff. Okay. So for example, a system, let's just make it simple. Let's say a desktop system. Okay. Technically ownership is the actual organization that went out and wrote a check for it. But one of the things we can do is we can delegate the responsibility for that machine to other people. And what we're trying to say is that a system owner can be a person who's had a system issued to them by an organization. and they're responsible for the day-to-day, whatever one does with this particular type of system. If you have a laptop, then maybe you need to make sure you're running backups. You have to make sure that you plug it into the main company network once a month for updates or whatever it might be. So when you hear owner, because you have all kinds of stuff you can own in an organization, there could be data owners, for example. But when you hear the word owner, what they're really trying to tell you is not so much the person with the ultimate responsibility, like the company who bought that system, but who they're delegating the day-to-day responsibilities to.
Okay. So 215 AV nut, I agree. A USB enclosure, a drive enclosure, an external enclosure of any kind is not going to help if the drive is physically damaged. You are absolutely right. So yeah, if you have a clicking hard drive and it's like, oh I can't get anything, then yeah. Now that's not to say that drive is unrecoverable. The data on that drive, it's just an expensive process that you as a tech don't have the $10,000 tools to do. So yeah, you'd send it off to a specialty house. They can, go into a vacuum contained, I don't even know how that process works. Basically, they can access the platters directly and get information off the drive.
Fair enough. Hey, it looks like we might have missed a question here, Scott.
Bob was just asking whether he can win a second voucher.
So Tolwit was asking about DISM.
That's correct.
What does DISM stand for? I don't know. To me, DISM is an imaging tool.
Right.
You use a DISM to rebuild an image. You can use DISM to create an image. You can use DISM to pull particular files from an image and do a rebuild on those files. DISM is also used in the Windows repair environment, but that's all handled fairly automatically. So to me, I can't remember the last time I fired up DISM in anger. When would I run it? If I was going to be doing a system rebuild and I couldn't get to the GUI, that might be a place where I couldn't get to my system restore points. That might be it. That's about the only thing I can think of quickly. But again, so let's make sure we got this clear. Check disk fixes bad spots on media, okay? DISM is an imaging tool which cannot fix anything on a drive. And remember, got to be careful here. Check disk doesn't actually fix anything. It just puts orange cones around bad spots. But DISM doesn't have that capability. I could see myself in a situation where I'd run check disk to verify that a drive is properly, what's the word I'm looking for? We do not fix sectors. We just put orange cones around them. And then using DISM, for example, to maybe bring back some corrupted files. That'd be about the only way I could think of that.
Yeah, when we Dave just posted in the back channel, when we do we have a product called Total Teaching Solutions that you guys don't know anything about. It's basically a classroom in a box where we have tons of systems and they're all pre-made and set up and they're beautiful and they have videos that go along with how to build them, how to fix them, do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, teachers will order, say, like 10 identical kits, and Dave Rush and his team will create a master drive, and then he'll use DISM as the duplicating tool to create 10 more of those for all the other systems. So that's a typical use for DISM as well.
So that's interesting that Dave Rush mentions using DISM. I would just I just never use DISM that much. I tend to use other types of tools for image creation. Some of them graphic. Okay, well, good enough. That's the beautiful part, just because I invent a Phillips screwdriver, that doesn't mean you can't come up with good and handy ways to use it. Okay.
Torx.
Boy, people love typing out deployment, image servicing, and management. Woo.
Well, neither you nor I could come up with the answer off the top of our head. So it was
For what question?
A chance to be awesome. Alucard at 216. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Intermittent reboots could be a sign of a failing power supply, and continuous reboots could be a sign of a corrupted operating system.
Or not.
Right?
Go ahead. Was that the end of the question?
That was the end of the, well, then correct, question mark?
There is anybody who thinks that you can point at any type of symptom and always know without any equivocation that there is nothing but this one particular thing is wrong. You can't do that. What you could say is what they point to, what they give you a probability of. For example, intermittent reboots would point to me to probably be either a heat issue or B, a power supply issue, or both, because they can often be related. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing. The other problem we have with intermittent issues is many times an issue it looks intermittent, but it's not. For example, if you got a corrupted executable on your desktop, and we're not talking about your primary games or something like that.
Right.
We're talking about an executable that's called by other executables. There's thousands of these. Go into your System32 folder. You'll see there's 500 in there alone. If that's corrupted, if that one file's corrupted, we don't know when that file's being called or not being called, depending on which file it is. And like for one great example would be in Word, there is an executable anytime you want to start drawing out large mathematical formulas. And I don't remember the name of that exe file. Now, you would know, now let's say that's really corrupted bad, and every time you fire it up, it blue screens your system or could reboot your system. That's pretty rare anymore, but it could. You're probably knowing that that's because you're clicking on it, right? You're starting it up, or you're in Word and you're saying create formula, right? That's not intermittent, because we know what we're doing to cause that problem. But there's hundreds and hundreds of files in there that, not just Word, for anything, that you don't even know they're being started up, but because they're corrupted and you're going, oh, I've got an intermittent area. The nice part about looking at the power supply and cooling for intermittent errors is that if you're wrong, you ain't breaking anything. Does that make sense, Scott? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
And so that would always be the first part. Now, there was a second part to that question. What was the second part? I don't see the question. I'm sorry. Oh, I found it.
Failing
continuous reboots.
Right.
Continuous reboots could be the sign of a corrupted OS. Yes. Most of the time when I see a corrupted continuous reboot, particularly in a Windows environment, it's not so much the core operating system itself, it's some auto-starting program that you've put in there that is having problems. So to say it's a corrupt operating system is unfair. It's something that's auto-starting within the operating system itself. One more time, the core Windows files are fine. It's the roller disco fly fishing application that you want up on your desktop every time you reboot the computer that could be causing those continuous boot issues.
My roller disco fly fishing app does not cause continuous reboots, Mike. It's a beautiful thing.
I'll bet it does.
Telewit, 219. How does SMART work for disks?
Oh, goodness. Scott, you want to look up what SMART stands for while I talk about it?
Sure.
And it's not SMART. It's actually S.M. dart. I can do this. S.M.A.R.T. And the smart people get very persnickety about that. One of the hardest things to predict is the death of rotational media drives. It's just very, very difficult to be able to go, is this drive about to die? It is a lot cheaper and easier to replace a still functional drive than to rebuild arrays or whatever else might be happening because a drive dies. SMART came out about 15 years ago as a methodology that was agreed on by Seagate and WD and all the guys as a way to predict when a hard drive is going to die. And it's really just a best guess of about 20 to 25 variables that pretty much all rotational media drives have, that the manufacturers go, based on our experience, it's only going to last X amount of time. And if it's doing any kind of problem, rotational speed, errors per second, raw throughput, raw reads per second, cache flushes within the drive itself, all of these weird parameters. And the nice part is that we don't even really have to understand what those parameters are. We can read what the parameters are, of course, and we can make what sounds like a reasonable conclusion as to what they mean. But the reality is, Scott, we don't know. For example, if you were to ask me, Mike Meyers, how an internal combustion engine works, I could explain it to you in great detail. That doesn't mean that I have a clue on how to work on my Ford F-250. Understand the important difference here. And this is a big issue with SMART, because you've picked these number of variables, and then whoever manufactures that hard drive says, here are the thresholds that are important. And if you go above, or depending on what the variable below a particular threshold, then theoretically things start going whoop, whoop, whoop. And then you, as the owner of the hard drive, can make a change.
Sure.
The reality is that 10 years ago, Google, who has a lot of data centers, buys a lot of hard drives, they gave up on SMART, that it was not a practical way to determine whether a drive was going to die or not for their needs.
Right.
However, SMART is still out there. What are we using to read SMART these days, Scott? CPU ID?
We can try it. I haven't like paid attention to SMART in many years. So, except for when I have to write about it for the A+ exam.
Yeah.
That's when it comes up for me. And Bob Noob and others have posted, SMART stands for self-monitoring and reporting technology.
There we go.
Yeah. So at 222, and I don't know the answer to this one, let's see if you do. J.M. Ramiro asks, can regular people report abnormal activities at stores to the payment card data security standard?
I don't know what do you mean by regular people. There are certainly lots of informant options out there for PCI and lots of other people too, for that matter. Most brick and mortar organizations, will have a manager on duty that you could mention that to. But what would bother me is, how would a regular person know what is bad? It's like, well, this guy wearing a black mask came in and swiped his card. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there are lots. The answer to your question is yes. You might have to do a little digging, but there are lots of reporting methodologies with 800 numbers and people who pick up the phone very quickly.
Okay. Excellent. The questions are rolling in here. So Scott Wolf at 224, would a firewall be classified as either an IPS or an IDS, or is it a separate thing?
A firewall is a completely separate thing from intrusion detection or intrusion prevention.
Yeah.
Thank you. A firewall is simply something that filters incoming or outgoing data based on whatever criteria you want by a self-generated access control list. So a firewall could block a particular IP address. It could block particular ports. It could block particular website access, all that type of stuff. Intrusion detection is a completely different animal. Intrusion detection, which almost doesn't even exist anymore in that form. Intrusion detection means I am something in there in a router, and it's often the same routers that have firewalls, Scott. So that's why people tend to lump these together, just because you have a box that can make ice cubes and keep your Coca-Cola cold, that doesn't mean that that's the same thing, right?
Right.
So
there's a device that does that?
Yes, called my refrigerator. So IDS is just a way to look at certain types of activities that manifest as intrusions, and then an IDS lets people know about it. The one place you'll run into this a little bit is in stateful versus stateless firewalls, okay? A stateless firewall is a traditional firewall, right? I don't care what state of the system is, we're always blocking this IP address. I don't care what's going on. I don't want anything from this port number going out of the network. Get the idea?
Mm-hmm.
But a stateful firewall is looking for things that happen. A great thing that even the most basic stateful firewall will notice in today's environment is if somebody starts sending you a bunch of malformed HTTP requests.
Gotcha.
Even the cheapest $100 home router has functions in there that will, in essence, stop that. And so now we're talking about IPS. So this is a very basic form of IPS, but I would argue it's very much IPS. That little home router suddenly starts dropping all incoming malformed HTTP packets. There you go.
Okay.
Also, if you also little cheap home routers often can block incoming. What is a ping packet?
ICMP.
ICMP is there's an argument whether this is true IDS, IPS, or just a firewall feature. But to me, it's IPS because it's seeing something and reacting to it, not just looking at an access control list and making dumb blocks or forwards.
So it turns out that's an excellent answer. I hope that answered your question. So we have a special guest today, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
And our subject matter expert in Network Plus, the personable Joe Ram, coming to us live from New Jersey and his amazing palatial estates. He should be popping on in any second now.
Yes, definitely. And I'm looking forward to having Joe on again. We've run into some more Network Plus questions, Scott, and I just straight up, well, we already knew Joe was going to be helping out while I was out. But even with me back here, there's some discussion on Network Plus. And right now, I would be hard pressed to come up with anybody outside of you, me, and Joe Ram who knows less. Wait, who knows more? There we go. Who knows more about Network Plus than us? So,
yeah. Okay. So, and just in, traffic in New Jersey is a complete mess, and Joe is running a little late.
Why are you doing this?
That I'm doing my the headset thing that isn't. It's my
the eye in the sky. Okay, well, there's a jackknife car out there on the Garden State Parkway going into the BQE.
Joe will join us.
What you were going for,
that's what I was going for, man. That's what I was going for.
And Joe Ram knows about the Garden State Parkway and the BQE, Brooklyn Queens Expressway.
So while we're waiting on Joe, or while we're anticipating, it's well after 2:30. You want to do a contest?
Yeah. Hey, Dave Rush, are you around? We'll assume Dave Rush is around.
He is. By the time he actually hears us, he will appear just like magic. Whoa, hey, Dave. That was amazing.
Be still my beating heart.
All right, guys, here we're about to do a competition. Dave, take it away.
Hey, okay.
This is for free practice questions.
Okay, we're going to do this for free practice questions today.
Wait,
we're going to put up.
Wait, Dave, I got to interrupt one more time.
Go ahead.
Yes, guys. Later in this session, we will be giving away one free voucher for a CompTIA exam. This voucher will work anywhere in the world, and it works on almost every single different type of CompTIA exam. That is not what we're doing right now. Understand, right now, we're giving away free practice questions, and it'll be any free practice question that we offer. Go ahead, Dave.
All righty. So like the man said, we're going to do a contest for free access to Total Tester questions. It'll be the Total Tester package of your choice, A+, Net+, Security Plus, one of the other more esoteric ones. It's all good. It's 90-day free access. We're going to conduct this just as fairly as we possibly can. However, there is an inherent unfairness built into the system because of the way the internet works and the way Google works and the way YouTube works and the way your computer works and the Coriolis effect and the relative humidity in your neighborhood. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up a question. This question, because our special guest is our Network Plus guru and systems SME, subject matter expert, we're going to select a question from our Total Tester Network Plus pool. And it's from the old pool, N10007, so easier to work it out. And you're going to type in the answer, not A, B, C, or D, but the answer or answers. I'll give that one away right now. This is one of the select two. So you're going to have to type in 2 responses. You got to get them both right in order to win. And Mike, you want to make it first on your system? You want to call the winner?
Sure, Dave.
I love the pressure. I've added it on.
Dave, you put up the question. I'll call the winner.
You got it. Am I missing anything important here, Scott or Mike? I'm sure I am.
David Mohan, we need you to, at this moment, please put on the handcuffs and the gag. No, actually, David already said he's going to kick back and happily spectate. So, but I got to tease him because, well, I like David. You know, what do I do?
Okay, questions going up. Here we go. Click. And the question is today, DHCP uses 2 default ports for requests and replies. What are they? Select 2. Your choices are 67, 23, 53, 22, 68. Hi. 2 of those are right answers. The rest of them are not. I'll leave it up there and see. Come on, system, catch up. There we go. Oh, lots of numbers coming up now. 65,537 is not a right answer. I'm sorry.
Thermal paste, however, is very much the correct answer.
That's right. And 443, for those of you who always put that in, is not one of the choices. Mike, you got enough selections up there to pick from?
Sure, let's go. I got the perennial Bob Noob is the winner.
All right, well, I'm going to post the answer up here.
I think Bob Noob is about this close to getting a t-shirt.
You guys got a guess on the correct answers here before I post it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I told the winner. I'm highly confident that it's ports 67 and 68.
Okay, let's see what Total Tester has to say. Hey, they agree with you. 67, 68. It's the only 2 adjacent numbers. So I made this a fairly easy one for everybody to work with today.
Bob Noob passed, by the way.
Oh, okay. Dave, take a look. 22 and 23 were also adjacent numbers. All right. So the next winner, it's going to be Richard Bro.
Okay, I'm going to step out. I'll see you for the next contest.
All right. Congratulate. All right, Richard Bro, you are the winner. Richard, in order to claim your prize, you've got to jump through a couple of small hoops. Richard Bro, number 1, you have to send an email to, Scott, I'm assuming that's visible. This is, got to send an email to Kathy. You have to send an email to Kathy, that's Kathy with a K, Kathyy at totalsem.com. And then Richard, number 1, you have to put your YouTube name. So somewhere in that email that has to say Richard Bro, got it? And then the other thing you need to tell Kathy is which I cannot speak English today. Which practice exam you wish to have. So make sure you send that email to Kathyy at totalsem.com. Be sure to add somewhere in the body of that email your YouTube name, Richard Bro, and then let her know which of the exams you'd like. We have, from it comes to CompTIA, we got just about everything. But feel free to go to www.totalsem.com and go through and take a look at our vast selection of test banks and come up with one that you would like to have. So congratulations to you, Richard. Well done. All right.
So while we're here, we have specials just for you on the AMA today. And the specials are 50% off of our combination ebook and the corresponding total tester practice exam. So you get the A+ ebook and the A+ practice tests, the total tester, for 50% off. That special is, and this is good for A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, CYSA Plus, Pentest Plus, Cloud Plus, and AWS SAA. So pretty epic. It's basically a free ebook is how it works out price-wise. So to do that, you just go to totalsim.com. Dave has posted the special at $240 and do your shopping, pick out your corresponding ebook and practice exams. And then when you check out, type in the code Alaska and you'll get 50% off that product. Awesome. That's just for you.
Ridiculously low prices, people.
Right.
All right. We had some questions just before the competition.
Right, up like 225.
I'm scrolling back up. Oh, there's Carla Rain.
Excellent. Right, 225 with John Lehman. I heard a few weeks ago from a channel called Level 1 Techs, who I deem a reliable source, that, quote, every 2 years, a power supply unit, PSU, can lose up to 10% of its wattage, unquote. It was news to me. Is it news to the Total Sim crew?
I mean, I've never quantified that value, but for decades, I've been telling people that when you're testing voltage on power supplies, the only voltage you need to test on a power supply is your 12 volt. Nothing else is important because the way the rails are designed, all of the rails will degrade over time pretty much equally. I can't guarantee that. There's always subtle differences. But like if you take a brand new power supply and you put a voltmeter on the 12 volt leads, you're going to get 12.3, 12.5 volts. And then over time, that's going to degrade. And
we're talking over years, though. We're not talking like your cell phone battery.
Well, yeah, that's true. But John Lehman did say 2 years. He put that number in there.
Right.
So, and I'll be honest with you, to me, if a power supply, like especially on a desktop, if a desktop power supply lasts more than 4 years, I'm already getting nervous. Just too many weird things happen with power supplies to make me not want to replace them. I don't keep spare parts around very much, but if I can keep an classic ATX power supply laying around, especially if it's modular, I'll keep one. I got one laying, well, I'm a little bit tied to the microphone, but I got one laying right over here.
Awesome.
But 2%, 10% over 2 years, maybe a little less than that. But yes, the important thing is that power supplies do degrade over time. And the moment you start getting intermittent reboots, this is the time. Use your power supply tester. If you don't have a power supply tester, put a regular old voltmeter on there and see what your voltages are. If your voltages are on the 12 volt side are approaching 11 volts, you might want to consider replacing the power supply. Now, here's the thing. This drives people crazy because they want a definitive, is this a bad power supply or not? I don't know. There's no way to know. Well, I guess there is a way to know, but in your endeavor to try to figure out if this is absolutely the power supply, I've replaced and fixed 5 or 6 systems, and you're fired because you got to be technically have everything together. My rule is if I've got a 70% probability that a particular part or a particular piece of driver or a particular piece of software needs to go, you do it. And I know this frustrates people, Scott. You and I've had these conversations.
Absolutely.
Because you want to know exactly, without any question mark, you want some $10 billion piece of testing equipment to plug it in, and you want graphs and charts and all that stuff. People like that do not survive in this industry. People like me who guess and who are wrong 30% of the time, we get a lot of systems fixed in one day. I know it's tough, folks. I know you want perfect answers on everything, but if you want to survive in this industry, you kind of got to get past that. I'm getting off my soapbox now. I'm sorry.
Okay, that sounds good. Because at 227, Yashtar Vyas, currently going through the Total Sim A+ 1001 and 1002 course and book. Do you know when this version will be retired? We don't have a precise, I'll answer that if that's all right, Mike.
Go ahead.
We don't know precisely when CompTIA is going to debut the new 1101 and 1102 exams, but if they follow their typical pattern, they should be released sometime in the spring of 2022. And then traditionally, they overlap 6 months for the old exam. So that would put pretty much a solid year from now before the current 1001, 1002 exams would be retired. And just throw out one other thing, they decided with the going from 007 to 008 on Network Plus this year, this past summer, is that they would overlap the exams by a year, just because of the whole COVID craziness that we're having in our global pandemic. So I don't know if they'll stick with the 6 month traditional thing or go to this new 1 year, but either way, you've got at least a year from now before the current A+ exams retire. So you have plenty of time. Uh, 228. Teloid asks, how often is it safe to trim an SSD, and do they use trim on M.2 NVMe drives?
Yeah, I mean,
it's all automatic to me, but
it is automatic. The motivation for using trim, especially in a late gen Windows 10 universe, almost doesn't exist anymore. The automatic tool sets that come with Windows do what we used to do in the old days manually, is done automatically and done well. I have not forced a trim command in many years.
Yeah, me neither.
I just haven't done it. It's, I'm sorry, we no longer light our lights with whale blubber, and we no longer have to defragment our hard drives. Wait,
you don't use whale blubber anymore?
Well, I use flubber, but I just bring my own.
Okay. Well, good. So at 232, Overwatch asks, which software for small business security and remote access is better? Norton or Komodo or Panda?
I'm not going to even get in this argument. I'm not going to touch it.
I don't have a clue. So
probably my guess, and this is a guess, would be Norton, just because I've used it for a lot of other stuff. But Komodo comes up and down all the time. 3 years ago, I would have been all about Komodo. There's no good answer to this. They're all pretty good. And the moment you start finding people who have these super definitive answers to this question, you find people who've been, well, all I've used is Norton's for the last 15 years. It's like, what, you haven't tried, bounced around with, Avast and all these other tool sets? You got, finding good anti-malware tools like that is like finding a good bottle of wine. It's going to be fantastic when you find it, but next year that wine's going to be gone and you're going to be right back to searching again. And that's just the frustration there is to those types of tools, because they vary so much.
So
moving on.
Okay, so 233 at 233, Crumpus Dumpling said he's on the train. She I don't know. Started studying on the train because I don't have time to study at work anymore. Which that's a good thing. That means your work is keeping you busy, right? Do you know? So you're asking about a question. Crumpus posted something on the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel, a picture of an input for a hard disk drive. So now would be a good time to tell them about the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. We, Total Seminars, do not have a Discord channel where you can log in and we can see your smiling faces and interact with you on real time. However, our friend Jose Braden does have one, and that's the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. Dave Rush, our esteemed moderator in the background, has posted a link, or two links actually, to the Discord channel at 2:43 p.m. So that's Central Time. Jump on that link. We usually go after the AMAs to hang out and chat for a while. But this is a pretty active group. There are hundreds of people in that Discord and lots of great texts. It's a great place to go and ask long form questions, or questions like, I'm troubleshooting this specific issue. Here's a photograph of my motherboard, because we can't respond to those kind of things live on the YouTube show, but we can, and many others can and will respond on Discord. So it's a great place to hang out. I will warn you, it's a little saltier than our PG rated internet show, because people are people, and it's not dangerous, or there's not spammers or mean people or anything like that. It's just language. So there you go.
Thanks, Scott.
You're
Krampus,
welcome.
I just looked at the pictures. You need to replace your potato with a real camera, but in other fuzziness, I'm pretty sure that's an eSATA, or external SATA connector. Getting harder and harder to find them these days. However, in a pinch, you can take a regular SATA connector, plug it into an eSATA, and while it's not a robust connection, if you want to get data off that drive or something, you can certainly use a regular SATA cable.
Nice.
Yeah, be careful, guys. Anytime Scott and I both aren't talking, it's because we're trying to find questions. So if it suddenly gets quiet here, it's because we're both scrolling through the chat window.
Right. So at 2:40, Professor Barks says, I take the A+ Core 1 tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck, Professor Barks.
Break a leg.
Absolutely. That's a really great question, Andre, at 2:41. Are there any active volcanoes in Alaska?
John Lehman, way back at 2:33. Is Joe here to talk about the recently new 008? Yes. Is Joe here?
Not yet.
Okay, we may not have Joe today. In fact, Scott, we may just skip it if Joe's not here, and we will skip that conversation. We can do it at another time. We also have some videos we can post for you guys that Joe and I did back when we finished the video series last month.
Right.
That discusses it in more detail. I actually had a request from co-author, technically competitor, Todd Lamel, who had some questions about Net Plus. In our industry, if you have two people who are writing the same book or doing the same videos, I mean, they are competition, but we're a small community, and Todd asked for my help. I'm more than glad to help him out. But if we can't do it via the AMA, Scott, we can do it separately, and we'll just tell folks about it.
Right. I think we still have plenty of time for Joe to show up. So yeah, it's all good. The other problem, of course, is that we are out of questions.
All right, I'm scrolling through, making sure we are out of questions. Poor Bob Noob. Bob Noob is getting mohanned, Scott. There's a certain, see, guys, what you don't understand is we give away practice questions and vouchers and stuff to help out everybody. So when you turn into a ringer, we tend to want to start blocking you out. Not because we don't like you, not because we don't want you to come on board. We love having you here. It's just that you're winning too much, and we want to spread it out. So don't get crabby, but that is how that goes. Kareem A. Martin at 246. Question, did we forget what troubleshooting is? Yes, every generation of techs forgets what troubleshooting is, and then they get retrained, and then they remember. So it's okay.
So Grumpus Dumpling laughed at 253. He used to have a good phone with a great camera, but now he has a potato $200 phone. thus the yeah. So 254 Overwatch asked how to secure a PC on an office building network.
Where's this question, Scott?
254. And then how to
secure PC on office building network. Hold on. I'm going to hold on to that question. 253, Tom, should I take the N plus or CCNA? If you want to get into Cisco devices, then you should take the CCNA. If you want a generic understanding of networking, then you take the Network Plus. If you want a good generic understanding of networking, which will help you learn about Cisco, then you take the Network Plus. How's that for an answer?
That sounds great.
I think the Network Plus, especially if you're going to go into more advanced networking, Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, whatever niche those are, if you learn networking from Network Plus first, it's going to make all of these easier. Guys, I'm not doing this because I'm trying to get more money out of you. I love Network Plus. I think it's literally one of the most eureka kind of certification training you can have. You learn so much.
Uh, 254, Mr. G asked, ever thought about promoting the AMA live sessions on LinkedIn to attract a larger audience? Yes.
And
on Reddit.
I've got almost 32,000 connections on LinkedIn. I've done it a couple of times and we've had good results. I would think you guys wouldn't want me to do that because we still have relatively small groups and we're giving away a free voucher 3 times a week. But thank you for your altruism there. I need to do more advertising than what I do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Scott, hold on, Scott. Let's go back to Overwatch's question. How to secure a PC in an office building network? I don't know what you mean by secure. The fact that you're in an office building means that you're behind a locked door and you probably have some kind of guards, which prevents widespread physical pilferage. I'm not saying people can't come in, but it gets a lot harder. Usually in offices, or like in, when you see a lot of computers like in temporary buildings and such, a lot of times you'll see physical security for the individual devices. They cable them to a desk or something like that. So I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. What do you think, Scott? Can we add anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. That's what I would think.
Okay. I'm ignoring everything Tolowitz says today.
I'll pay attention to you, Tolowitz. I still like you.
Do you recommend rebooting your modem and router from time to time just because gremlins happen? That's actually, okay, Tolowitz's a smart aleck, but that's actually a good point. I had somebody very recently say, Mike, if you have a choice between a clean install or an upgrade install of Windows, what do you do? And my answer is when a new version of Windows comes out, I'm talking like from Windows 8 to 8.1 to 10 to 11, that's usually my opportunity to wipe a system and do a reinstall from scratch. Now, I do things that a lot of people don't do. Like, for example, I pay for all my applications, so I don't have a problem reinstalling applications. I also work very hard to keep my operating system on a separate boot drive from the vast majority of my data. Like, for example, I'm a big Steam player. I love Steam. I use it all the time for my gaming. My locally downloaded games alone are in excess of 2 terabytes, which I keep on a separate drive. It's not on my C drive. And I do this on purpose, folks, because every 2 to 3 years, I just take Windows and go boom, and then wipe it clean and bring it all back new again. Windows is notorious. I mean, Scott, in the Apple world, do you have a registry cleaner like you do in the Windows world? That's
We don't
right.
need that.
I mean,
We don't need
I
anything like that.
I make jokes about Apple, but I actually love Apple products a lot because like Windows just gets clogged up with goo, and temp files, registry settings. Sometimes you just got to blow it up, man. And,
Right. I agree totally.
Keep your separate critical data. I like a physically separate drive. So like on the desktop system I have in my office, I've got a big M.2 NVMe. And about the only thing I put on there is Windows and some of my core applications. That's about it. Everything else I put on a separate drive, and it makes it trivial to, sorry, Scott, I'm getting a lot of critical information coming in.
No problem. At 2:58, Josh Mello just finished my A+ by studying a week for each after watching your videos. Got some excellent scores on 1001 and 1002, passed both. Congratulations, Josh. That's awesome. So here's the $1 million question. Should I do Network Plus or Security Plus next? Your materials helped a ton. Long time people here are going to know exactly what Mike's going to answer, and that would be get a job.
Get a job. I mean, that's why we're here, right? There's
right.
I get frustrated by people. I hate to use this analogy because it has to do with dating the opposite sex, but I'm going to anyway. And that is, Scott, you may not believe this, but I'm not the cutest guy that is out there.
That's not true, Mike.
When I was in high school and in college, I would always go up to any gal who I thought was great, and I would just say, I think you're amazing. Let's go do something. And I would have my friends come back to me, and they're always like, Mike, that girl's way out of your league. Why are you asking him? And my attitude was, why don't we just let them make that decision? Okay. Don't you do it. And this exact same thing happens when it comes to getting work in IT. I see tech after tech. Oh, I can't get that job. Right? No. It's entry level, but it needs 2 years experience. People they're trying to filter out the cowards, just go for it, but get work. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. So it's a little after 3. Would you like to do a contest?
Yeah, let's see if Dave Rush is on. We got to give away a voucher, Scott. Let's do it.
I think that's a great idea. So this CompTIA, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to give us the opportunity to give you up to 3 vouchers a week, one at each of our shows. And I'll talk about Dave's show on Friday here in a minute. But the cool thing is these vouchers are for anywhere in the world. So we can give these to anybody, even people who live in Antarctica.
Well, wait. I think it's anywhere in the world where CompTIA tests people.
There's no testing station in Antarctica?
Everywhere. I don't think that there's any CompTIA testing centers in Little America.
We could take our mobile testing center down to McMurdo Bay.
Excellent.
And they could fly the plane down there.
Yay, I like it. So here with us to do this contest is senior instructor and our esteemed moderator, Dave Rush.
Hey, long time no see, guys.
Right? Take
We're
it away,
gonna do
Dave.
a contest. It's going to be another Network Plus multiple choice question for one of the aforementioned vouchers. The world works just a little bit differently here. The contest works the same. I'm going to post up a question with some answer choices, give you a couple of moments to think about it and type in your answer, not A, B, C, or D. Enough of the answer from the choices that we know what you're talking about. And we will select a winner based on the first person with the correct answer that appears on Mike's feed. We make this as fair as possible. You may see it appear on your feed before Mike does or in a different order, and that's the nature of the internet. Sorry about that, but we're going to do what we can. And then when you win, it's a different animal. The prize will not come directly from CompTIA. I'm sorry, from Total Seminars. It's going to come from CompTIA. We're going to give you some information that you're going to send directly to Mike Meyers himself, and he will send that to his contact at CompTIA, and then CompTIA will hold it until, I don't know, June of 2022, something like that. And then they'll, however long it takes, we have no control over how long it's going to take them to respond. So we're doing what we can. We do everything the way we can. Go ahead, Mike.
Dave, for the record, we've had a number of people already receive their vouchers in good order. So
outstanding.
It looks like CompTIA takes about a week.
Sounds good. Okay. Did I miss anything? Are we ready to throw a question up?
I think we are.
Dave.
All right, here goes. Oops, got to click this button. The big question in 3, 2, 1, up it goes. Network technician Alex knows that there is a wire is broken in a long network cable. Which tool could he use to determine the approximate location of the break? 4 choices, select 1. Multimeter, time domain reflectometer, tone probe, protocol analyzer. I got back channel people guessing answers. All right. I'm just being silent as I'm watching answers come rolling by.
Right. That's good.
We have humorous answers.
A tricorder. Yes, I think that's great.
I think we got a winner here.
Yeah, I like this question a lot, Mike, other than the grammatical error that we found today, and I'll get that fixed after the show. But this one's really fun because there are 2 arguable answers, but one is certainly better than the other. But you can see based on the response that we get, there's a holy war and an argument going on here.
All right, well, I feel that the right answer is B, time domain reflectometer.
All right, let's see if you agree with yourself, since I think you wrote this question in Total Tester. There we go. B, time domain reflectometer. So I will turn it over to you, and I'll put a slide up here in just a moment when you're ready that tells them who to send it to and what to send and all that good stuff.
All right, so let's go ahead and first of all, the winner is, and the second winner of the You Don't Get to Compete Anymore award, Bob Noob. Congratulations, Bob Noob. You have won, I believe this is your second and last voucher that you'll be winning. A big round of applause to you, sir. You've done well, but you've done too well. Bob Noob, make sure to send me, well, you have to send it to me personally, Dave. So Dave, you said there's a slide that you can put up.
Coming up.
Contact information.
Yep, just about throw it up.
Well, I have this. Whoops, that's not it. Ignore that. Okay, so here you go. Bob Noob. Send an email to me, michaelm@totalsim.com. I need who you are and the YouTube name that you use when you want a voucher. Also, Bob Noob, you have to give me your real name. This is the name that will appear on, let's say you take Network Plus, whatever name you give me here, that's what's going to be showing up when you register and everything else. Bob Noob, you also have to send me an email address. I need a legitimate email address. I do not assume that your return address is a legitimate email address. You must give me an email address, even if it's the return address for the email you send me. And the last is you have to, the country where you intend to take the CompTIA exam. Bob Noob, if you live in Chicago, Illinois, you have to say in the email, I intend to take the test in the United States of America. I can't give you a voucher otherwise. So make sure you do those things. All right. So fantastic. Way to go. Well done. All right. So Bob Noob, congratulations to you. And Bob Noob, you might as well go ahead and send me that t-shirt size too, because you just won your last prize. Congratulations to you. You are a part of the David Mohan Award System. I got to come up with a better name than that, but congratulations to you, Bob Noob. We got to leave room for more people to win prizes. Congrats. Well done, sir. All right, Scott, I think that's about all we got for the day, isn't it?
I think it is.
All right, listen, guys, it was a lot of fun. Bob Noob, did I actually win? You win all the time, buddy. But yes, Bob Noob, you did win the free CompTIA voucher. So congratulations to you. And You got it right. Steady as Shark. Is Mike Senor Pepe account one with a silhouette of a guy listening to iPhone? Yep, that's me. And Bob Noob, I didn't receive the first answer from, I don't know what that means. Bob, if you got any issues, talking about it here on the forum is not the right place. Bob, you got my email address, michaelm@totalsem.com, and that's where those questions come in. So congratulations to you. Folks, we're done for the day. Scott, you done?
I am done.
All right, Dave Rush, hopefully he's going to shut down everything here. Fingers are crossed. Folks, don't forget that this Friday is Dave's Rush.
Oh, right.
Dave Rush AMA, same time, same channel, giving away voucher there as well. And
hold on. So Dave on Friday is going to do the retro Pi, how to create, take a Raspberry Pi, tiny complete system on a chip computer. It costs like $45, and you can create a retro gaming machine with all the cool 1980s and 90s games on it. So retro Pi is this Friday, Pi Day. Be there.
All right, guys, we're out of here, folks. Y'all have a good one. And I hope Dave's going to close down this.
He will as soon as we wave.
All right, ready? Here we go, Scott. 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.